What's good, creative fam? My name is JustBWise, and today we're going to talk about setting up your custom buttons on your Sony A7 III. Let's get it. Okay, so one of my favorite things about the Sony cameras is how customizable they are. This is something that scares some people away, so I hope that this video helps you to want to explore a little bit more with setting up your camera in a way that works perfect for you. Now, my way may not be the most optimal setup for everyone. This is just what works best for me. So I really just want this video to kind of help you to see what type of things you can set up to customize your camera, opposed to do this or your camera's not gonna be set up perfect. It's really personal preference. Since I do shoot photos and video, I do have a little bit of a different setting for each of them. So we'll start off mainly focusing on a lot of the photo aspects of everything right now. Okay, so just to start off, we'll just look at the control wheel. I pretty much leave it at exactly what is normally set up for, which is ISO. Never change that. It's just easy to adjust your ISO with the control wheel, so I've never changed it. But my next thing, my custom button one, I actually have set up as white balance. Now I know in the previous video I've talked about when I do photos, I usually leave white balance at auto, but sometimes I am trying to shoot something very specific. So I will have to adjust my white balance depending on what I'm shooting for. So it's easy to get to it there. And then my button, my custom button number 2, I have set up for the drive modes. So in case I want to take one photo or a lot of photos, I can just change that very quickly and easily, just right there at my fingertips without having to, fiddle around with the menus. On the back side here, the custom button number 3, I have set up as the APC mode, APS-C mode. So, and I also mentioned in that previous video that the APS-C mode gives you a little bit more punch when you're on a fixed lens, like I'm using right here. So if I did want to punch in just a little bit more and take advantage of a shot without having to change my lenses, I can just do that straight here. And if I have the camera up here, it's very easy just to hit that button with my offhand. So I don't even have to put the camera down or anything. That makes it super simple for me. All right, so next up, you can see the other custom button that we have here, C4, or the trash can. Usually I have this set to picture profile. I don't normally change my picture profile when I'm shooting photos. I usually just have it off, but as you'll see when I'm shooting the video portion of it, I do normally have it here. So it's just easy just to leave it there, make it very simple for me. Now, the next thing, I don't change this far too often. I usually shoot my autofocus at wide, but just in case, sometimes I do want to change my autofocus. That's this multi-select button that's right here. I'll change that to allow me to actually change whatever my autofocus is set to. So for instance, if I am shooting wide, but then I want to actually have the talent moved off to the left corner of what I'm shooting, then I can change it to zone and set my autofocus just to be in that section. So that's what I'll use that for a lot of the times. But the big thing here for me is this center button right here inside of this, the control wheel. The reason this is huge for me is because I do shoot a lot of manual focus. So this allows me to just get a little focus magnification. I can punch in really quickly and make sure I can lock my focus that way. So that's something that's super helpful. Now on this control wheel, these things are also buttons that can be moved for left, right, up, and down. So, and those are also custom buttons as well. So for me, my left custom button on this particular one is also set for peaking. Now peaking is gonna help me, in addition to the focus magnification, make sure I'm locking focus. So what it does is it kind of highlights in whatever color you choose. The color I chose is red. It'll highlight in red the areas that are in focus. So it kind of helps you to make sure that you have eyes in focus or things like that. So on the right side, what I have set up for this is my zebras. So what the zebras do is help you kind of figure out your exposure. So you'll set your custom level for how high you want the zebras to show. So let's say I don't want to expose this photo, any part of this photo, over 90 IRE, which we can talk about all the details of that in a completely different video. However, let's say I want to make sure my image is not clipping, so I'll set it at 90. I don't want to go up to 100. I want to make sure at 90, this is as high exposure as I want. Once the zebras come on screen, you know wherever those zebras are, this section of my photo or my video, whatever, is at 90. It's very, very highly exposed. So that's usually pretty helpful for me. So anyway, the next one we have is down. Down for me is set to anti-flicker. And this is helpful because I shoot a lot of photos also for my church and doing worship, and we have a lot of different light shows going on. And you wanna make sure that while you're shooting, you don't have these weird flickering images happening in your still image. So anti-flicker will kind of tell you when you can shoot and when you can't. It's a little weird, but it's helpful for me. So when I wanna use it, I press down. When I don't wanna use it, I just take it off. All right, and some of the last things that we have here for photo is the AEL button, which is the auto exposure lock button. I never use this thing. I've never seen a need to use it, but essentially what it's for is if you do shoot with auto exposure, this will help you if you want to keep your exposure consistent for a series of shots. You go ahead and hit that and it'll turn it on. So for me, that's what it's normally mapped to. But since I don't use it, what I've changed it to is silent shooting. So I can just hit this button and then I don't have my camera shutter, actually the mechanical shutter working. So again, like I said, I do shoot a lot of photos for my church. So sometimes if it's a quiet moment and I want to take photos, I hit this button and now it's not making any noise and I can still get all the photos that I need. AF on, it's autofocus. I just leave it. And also the focus hold is just this, when you slightly press down on the trigger, but you're not triggering to fire, it'll draw focus for you. So that's pretty much everything for the customizability for photos. And now a lot of these things will be the same when we hop over to video, but there are some subtle differences. So let's hop over and talk about the video side. So right off the bat, the first two things are the same. Control wheel is for ISO and CB1 is for white balance. Here's the first thing that changes. My custom button number 2 is usually set up to my S&Q frame rates. It's just easy for me to change it here and then spin the dial. So that makes it easy so I don't have to go into the menus. Going back to CB3, it's the same as with photos. It's the APS-C mode. So just give me a little extra punch. And also I already mentioned that the custom button number 4 is for my picture profile. So that all is exactly the same. Also, the other thing that's exactly the same is the focus setting and the focus magnifier button. So those two are exactly the same. Actually, most of this other stuff is the same too. We got peaking, we got zebras. Those are both the same as well. The only other thing that does change is my down button for here is for my audio recording level. So if I am recording something that has audio and I need to adjust my audio, it's easy for me to just get to it here and hear it quickly, opposed to trying to, again, go through all the menus to get to it. I don't really have anything set for the AEL button. I just have it off. I never really use it. Autofocus is the same. It's autofocus on, autofocus off. And I don't have anything set for the hold button here because usually when you're shooting video, you're not pressing this trigger. So you don't really need that so much. So that's pretty much everything as far as the custom buttons for photo and for video. However, there are 2 other things that you can customize on here. The custom dials that you have here, you have 1 and 2. Now these for me make it super easy for me to film very quickly and to go back to photos very quickly. So typically if I'm shooting photos, I have it set to manual and I'm just doing my thing. And then if you set it to 1 and let me take a backtrack here a little bit. So what you'll need to do is actually, before you can actually do anything, you need to go into your settings. On the first tab, and it'll be page number 3, and you're gonna go to your memory. And now in your memory, it's gonna record everything that you currently have your camera set to. And then, so for instance, for me, I have everything set to record in 24 frames per second. I have my shutter speed already set. I have my ISO already set. I have my picture profile already set. So I have my white balance set, even though I may need to change it. But typically if I know I'm shooting in a similar scenario, like I'm doing right now, then I can have everything already set. And all I have to do is flip it to that switch and then I can record real-time video and I don't have to do any setting up. It's already preset for me. And so what I would have to do first is go to the video mode and change everything in there, and then go into this setting and set your memory as this. So now I can just go into number 1 and I'm ready to go. And I did the same thing for number 2. However, I did it for 60 frames per second slow motion. So in case I quickly want to shoot something, I'm shooting something real time and I just want to quickly change over to shoot something in slow motion, I just dial that thing to 2 and now I'm ready to go. So as you can see, this is why I set up my camera the way I did, so that I can make sure that I can quickly do whatever I need to do. Because a lot of time when I'm filming, it's just run and gun, guerrilla style. And by guerrilla, I mean I'm chasing my children to get B-roll to use for things I'm doing here most of the time. So it's easier to just have everything ready for you at your fingertips, opposed to having to go through the menus, because that's gonna slow you down and then you may miss the shot. And that's the whole thing. I just don't want to miss the shot. That's really everything. If you do have any specific questions about any of the settings or how to set something up or whatnot, please make sure to go ahead and leave it in the comment section down below. And if you like this video, please like this video. And as always, I gave you some tools to create. Now be great. Peace.